Philosophy, questioning, enlightenment, deep conversation, spirituality. This is the spiritual download. This is day 2 of my meditation retreat, solo meditation retreat at my own house because it's quarantine. I went into it with not too many expectations, but it's kind of started off with a boom, more or less. Yesterday, day 1, I started getting really in touch with profound silence. And the profound silence is made of just pure awareness and pure peace. I figured out the source of it is coming from the top of my head. There's kind of an ascending energy that's releasing from my body and goes up through my crown chakra, the top of my head. There's also a feeling of white light entering down into myself through the crown chakra into my body. It's almost like I'm being transformed by this white light that I can see through the third eye, which is kind of in the middle of my head, in the middle of my brain. And so I'm beginning to see that my whole body is connected to everything else. Like this energy is coming up from the bottom of my feet, and I think it's from like Earth itself. Like the heart of Earth is wanting to connect with that transcendent realm that's at the top of my head, which seems to be like the energy of the sky. Like there's this connection that needs to take place between the earth and the sky through human beings. And so human beings can be transformed to be conductors of that light, that peacefulness between the earthly realm, which we all inhabit as humans, but also that transcendent realm where it seems like that's where we go after we die and before we're born. It's just like, it's the realm of perfection that can't be sensed by us humans through our sight, through our hearing and things like this. It needs to be seen through a more subtle way of perceiving reality, which if you close your eyes and breathe and get in touch with that silence, it seems like that's what the transcendent realm is more connected to through us, as us. Another thing that happened is, beyond the silence, is love came. Love entered me. Love is so abundant. So kind of a descending, that light descending. After listening to some beautiful music, I had the desire to get out of the silence and connect it to love through music, through beautiful music. So beauty is what connects silence and love. Yes, love is in silence, but this is where people make the mistake, is identifying as spiritual, identifying as a meditator. Because I was struggling. I had the expectation that I was going to be in silent meditation for 6 days, in silence. Then I felt this urge, or calling, whatever it is, to listen to some songs that I had never heard of. I just clicked it. It was a playlist, and it was these Sanskrit songs. So it's obviously in a language I don't speak, but literally my heart spoke that language. My heart opened up to the music, to the language, and to the inherent peacefulness of it. But it's not just peacefulness, like it was an intense love. I was crying for like 2 hours, off and on crying. just releasing all of this pain I had held in my body for years. All of these expectations and critiques of myself and of society was just released through the crying process. And then after the crying, my body had space now for that white transcendent light to come in and inhabit my body and inhabit my brain. It's almost like my egoic mind had like stopped and was replaced by the transcendent way of thinking, the transcendent way of being. It's not thinking, it's being. Your brain becomes being and not thinking in this realm. And I listened to some of my favorite songs. I listened to Bob Marley, and feeling the love and the passion of Bob Marley, it fully entered into my heart. And the white light, which is emanating throughout my whole house from my heart. And I didn't know what to do. I was just acting out of instinct, based on the godly realm, the transcendent realm, entering into my body and just opening up to it, being one with it. And complete stillness, complete silence. And I'm on a meditative walk. There's a forest over here that I like to run by and walk by. Right now there was a storm that came past, but now it's completely still. There's zero wind at all. The temperature is perfect. My body feels at one. My mind, my brain feels at one with nature. I haven't had an erratic thought since the first 10 minutes of my meditation. It's as if everything is being controlled. My brain, my body's being controlled by whatever is greater than us humans, whatever creates the moment, whatever creates nature. It's amazing. I can't explain how amazing it is to be in this state of consciousness. Life is imbued with love. It's easily seen in nature. Just enjoy the moment. Two new things I've discovered about life and myself. First is the silence of nature and how raw and wild, yet also peaceful nature inherently is. Like literally, it is your guru. Nature can be your guru if you listen to it really, really deeply. Because it is what it is. Nature is not trying to be something that it's not, which a lot of us human beings try and do. Number two is be your authentic self. What is love? Love ultimately is the freedom to express exactly what you are. A lot of us have not yet discovered who we are. It's because we need to continue on the spiritual path. We need to meditate more, contemplate more, and express yourself. The universe needs you to express yourself. Find your inner strength, your inner courage, and be free. What would it be like to be completely free without caring at all about image, self-image, or what others think about you? It feels so good to express who you are from your heart. Living from your heart is what love is. How do you live from your heart? How do you go deeply into yourself and have that courage to share what is here? We all want you, we all want me, all of us to share what is deeply ingrained in our heart. What all connects us, what is that oneness that people talk about, is that love that is in our hearts that needs to be expressed. The issue with some spiritual people is they think it's all about silence and peace. No, sometimes self-expression and love is about being freely who you are. Really what is here in the moment, what needs to be expressed. Oftentimes it seems crazy. Let me tell you this. Ultimately, there is no such thing as insanity if you live from your heart. Living from your heart is the opposite of insanity. People who don't live from their hearts, those are the ones who are crazy because they're missing out. They're missing out on being who you are in nature, freely expressing yourself, dancing, giving speeches, singing, meditating, going on hikes, doing art. What do you do? What do you want to do from your heart? That's what the universe wants you to do, is diving deep into that. And then finding that strength from your gut. Trusting your gut instinct that it's going to be okay to express yourself. Your heart is the one that wants to express, but your gut is the thing that knows it's going to be okay to freely express who you are in this oneness. Oneness is ultimate freedom, but you need the courage in your gut to do that. So far today I've noticed two things, one kind of negative and one super positive. I guess I'll start with the negative part, is my discipline is a little bit waning. It's really difficult to do a meditation retreat by yourself. There's kind of a lack of support from others who are doing the same thing. Everyone else around you is just living their life. So for me, I'm having a hard time actually not listening to music or not opening up my laptop and watching a YouTube video or not checking my phone for Facebook things. So I find my subtle addictions coming in, which is kind of a layer of my ego. But the good thing is I'm finding my ego's layers being stripped away piece by piece. So the part of me that assumes that I'm separate from everything else, that thing is gigantic for me. It tells me that I am better than other people. I'm this way instead of that way, and I believe it. It's these thoughts that are entering into my mind, but those are getting stripped away piece by piece. And how do I know that? Is the crying. So the really positive thing that I'm seeing is through the crying process, you're physically releasing things out of your system, and that leaves space for love to enter into your body. So love is no longer an idea. You have to know this. Love is not an idea. It is the substance of consciousness and life. It's made of love. Despite some of the things that are difficult, like going on a meditation retreat is difficult. There's going to be some suffering because you're literally losing part of yourself. It kind of feels like you're dying into the moment, and that the moment has always seemed boring. The moment has always seemed it can't give me something. But when you're stripping away parts of that ego, you're realizing that the silence and the stillness is actually made of love and bliss and not made of boredom. The boredom is a thought in my mind, but when I enter into my heart, I can feel it right now, is aliveness begins to occur. Love begins to occur in peace. And that's the positive part, is if I don't blame myself for being undisciplined, which probably is one of my negative traits in my spirituality, is, I don't have a full decade or 2 decades of meditation practice. I'm new at it. I've only been doing it like 4 years. But still, that love and that peace is still really, really deep, both in me and outside of me, whatever the me I perceive as. Because the in and the out, the inner world and the outer world, that barrier is beginning to break down. The outer world is becoming a part of my consciousness. Before, I thought it was I perceived the world. But the world is much more myself. And what I thought was myself in here, in my body and in my mind, is actually a part of the outside world. It is nature. My body literally is nature. My mind is nature. And that nature is what I am. So in meditation retreats, if you find yourself crying, that's okay. Crying is supernatural, extra natural. It's actually a goal. You shouldn't have a goal to cry, but when you see yourself crying, you know that you're making progress. So today I didn't eat too much. I'm just running on an egg burrito from earlier this morning. And so I'm really feeling into positive karma versus negative karma, and how our Western civilization is right now with using so much of the earth, so many natural resources of the earth just to have a high standard of living, that produces negative karma here on earth. And so one of the most important things that we can do is decreasing our carbon footprint so that we can have less heat here on earth produced by humans, less carbon dioxide, or just heat. The goal is to get back in touch with nature and learn more from it as to how we should live more sustainably, more in the moment, and more from our hearts than from our subtle addictions. So I'm really starting to feel the poor karma from the entire Western civilization here in my awareness, and I want to be a part of the revolution that goes back to nature, whatever that looks like for my life, or for like America or Europe, going back to a more sustainable model. And that Europe does a little bit better job than us, but more like, what is Costa Rica doing, or other countries in Latin America or Africa who, because they're in the third world, they actually don't produce as much carbon dioxide, and they're actually receiving a lot of the heat that is being produced by Western civilization, Europe and America. How can we reduce the mindset of using Earth and increasing the idea of living with it? How do we cooperate with Earth in how human beings are? And getting back in touch with the Earth, Mother Earth. And silence is like the soul of Mother Nature, silence and stillness. That's like the heart, or the own vibration of Mother Earth. So the question you want to ask yourself is, does this action create more suffering than happiness? Or like the decision I make by eating meat, or by turning up the AC, knowing that adds to the carbon footprint, does that create more suffering than the comfort of your body. So it's a inherent selfish act saying comfort for me rather than reducing suffering for all. And finally, with knowing what negative karma is and that you have dedicated your life to producing positive karma for you and everybody, then truth arrives in your heart and in your mind and in your body. So you just know it's not an idea created by human civilization, but truth is just the way of life, or the Tao, and that the truth is actually the following of the truth rather than some static idea. It is the dedication to living a true life that really is what truth is. Final day of my 6-day meditation solo retreat. I'm actually sitting at the building of where I used to study philosophy here in Minnesota. Just kind of thinking about, where I come from, my background, and I used to think life was all about philosophy all the time and thinking, like life was about thinking, but now I'm realizing that life is about enjoying the moment and really just enjoying life and just kind of view life as an opportunity to explore more about what life actually is and about yourself as well. And that life is just very, very peaceful as well. So